Detention is a horror puzzle game by developer Red Candle Games. You start the game as Wei Sheng Ting, but for the vast majority of the game you play as Feng Rei Shen, a senior at Greenwood High School. As you progress through Detention's story of love, loss, and regret, you'll come across clues on what happened to Rei, her family, classmates, and teachers. In terms of art style and atmosphere, Detention has it in spades. It feels as though you're playing within a painting. There are interesting effects and images in both the foreground and background that add to the overall atmosphere of the game. Both musical score and sound effect work by composer Wei Feng Sheng are done very well and keeps the player in suspense. Now Detention has an interesting story, great art and sound design, but it's hurt in its game design. The horror aspect of the game is more in the imagery than anything else, though there is the occasional jump scare. And in the latter half of the game, there aren't any enemies to avoid. Enemies you do run into are simple to avoid and aren't really an obstacle, but the puzzles are a very different story. Though the vast majority of them aren't difficult, I do have to admit that I had to look up a walkthrough twice during my playthrough when I got stuck. A lot of times you'll have to resort to trial and error to figure out what to do next. But after getting stuck a few times, my playthrough only took a little over 4 hours to complete. Detention is an interesting story, and its use of setting and Chinese mythology is unique for the genre. Overall though, its few horror elements aren't anything too crazy. The game has great imagery, a unique art design, and sound design that keeps the player engaged. Some of its puzzles are a bit too easy, while some can only be solved through trial and error, and enemies might as well not exist. And I think the developers agree with me, as none appear in chapters 3 and 4. With that said, Detention is worth your time. It's unique and tells the story in such an interesting way. Detention gets an 8 out of 10.